Hello, you're listening to Mike Madden on the Art Show podcast. Here you'll find interviews with authors, musicians, artists and anyone else in and around the arts. Some of the interviews are taken direct from the Art Show on Expat Radio, with one or two specials in between. This show features perfect strangers talking about their single, Hope. Hello, this is Mike Madden. You're listening to Words and Music, and tonight I've got guests from the other side of the world. Welcome to the show, Tony Brannon from Bermuda and Jimmy Duncan from Barbados.
Good evening.
Nice to be here, Mike.
It's great to have you on. And you are part of a group called Perfect Strangers. Released a song called Hope, very relevant for the times we are in. And it all started off a bit strangely because, Tony, you sent the lyrics in a poem to Jimmy, which seems an odd thing to do, but you have known him since 1981, so I suppose it's not that strange. So what's the background to you two getting together back then and how your sort of timeline has progressed?
Well, basically, as you know, the performing arts have been completely strangled by COVID. And we both are musicians, working musicians. And so, I think it was a year yesterday of the anniversary of the shutdowns that started in England, started in Bermuda and lots of places around the world. And so, as the summer wore on and we were in and out of, shutdowns and lockdowns and curfews and all the whole nine yards, I kept thinking, well, this can't keep going on. We're going to be back gigging soon. It's going to be over after 3 or 4 months. We'll be all right. And it just didn't happen. So in November, I woke up one morning feeling very, very despondent and very kind of like, God, this is horrible. No income, money's running low. And I wrote down these words and, I sort of sketched it out that it was almost verse-like. I wasn't thinking in terms of a song per se, but I sent it to Jimmy and Jimmy looked at it and Jimmy thought, well, I can put a song to this. And so, a day later, he sends me back something which is a melody, and I'll let Jimmy take over from here and see, what he adds to it.
Well, when I got an email from Tony, which I thought was just an email, I really didn't read it as anything else but how he was feeling. But oddly enough, as I was reading it, without any conscious thought, a melody was in my head about how these words were reading off of the page. It didn't have a chorus as yet, lyric-wise, but it had what seemed to me to be two really good verses and a good bridge. So I have like a small workstation at home. So I just immediately thought of, what kind of groove and chord structure and blah, 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 and put a song down almost instantaneously. It was one of those things that you didn't have to think about. Sometimes in songs, you spend a little too much time. But this was one of those that was immediate. And I sent it back to Tony practically 24 hours later. And there was this song. And he got back to me and he went, boy, this is fantastic. We gotta go big with this. I wasn't sure what he meant by going big, because to me, I was just, I am a songwriter of sorts. I was just writing another song. And I never knew, like I said, my workstation's here in my kitchen. And I never thought for a second that 3 months later, I'd be looking at 100,000 views on YouTube, and that people from all over the world were calling in and asking for interviews. And none of that was in my head back in December of 2020, So this is where we are now with this song, which has really taken flight. Your audience would like to know. We asked quite a few of our friends. You asked earlier how Tony and I met. I think Tony didn't pick up on that, but we met back in the 80s through a mutual friend called Andy Newmark, who I'd known from the 70s. And Tony was coming to Barbados, and Andy said to Tony to look up Jimmy Duncan. And that was how our friendship started. And we've come full circle now, because Andy Newmark is the drummer on this song. And Andy has played with everyone under the sun. His last big gig was doing John Lennon's Double Fantasy. Buddies played with Sly Stone. Oh, too many names to mention. But Andy was the second person that we asked. Tony first reached out to a good friend of his, Will Lee, who I didn't know that well, but I had met in Bermuda. And Will just jumped on it right away and said, "I'd love to play on this." His reaction was, it was almost an immediate return of email confirmation saying, "This is a great song, I'd love to play it." So it got Tony and I thinking, wow, if Will Lee thinks this is a great song, maybe we don't know what we have here, because we were just saying it's a good song. And then we got another friend of Tony's was Derek Dyer, who grew up in Bermuda with Tony, so they were buddies, and Tony reached out to Derek, and Derek loved it. And Derek is such a fantastic saxophone player. I mean, I've always admired him in Joe Cocker and in Tina Turner. So I knew of Derek, and again, I met Derek in Bermuda. We did a show several years ago that we were both on the same bill. And Derek was just overjoyed to be involved with this song because he thought it was very special. And again, it boosted our belief and our desire to really go the full 9 yards with this and make it a really good production, which we did. And so we had Will Lee on bass, Derek Dyer on sax, Andy Newmark on drums. Tony and I, we played guitars and keyboards. And at that point, I was doing the lead vocal, but I'm not really a lead vocalist, but I know how to put a melody down. And we thought, we could really do with a really great singer on this. And Derek Dyer jumped in and said, "Well, I know a guy here in Boston who is really great. His name is Tim Pike." And Tim was the lead vocalist for Paul Allen's band, who was...
The Microsoft guy.
Yeah, Microsoft guy.
Yeah. The Microsoft guy.
we didn't know who Tim Pike was, but we took Derek's, suggestion, and we said, "All right, let him have a shot at it." And Tim came in and he knocked it out of the ballpark. He just did a superb job. I mean, 100 times better than what I did. And it really brought this song up another 10 notches. And so we were really growing all the while with this production. And at that point, we had all discussed between us getting a choir, a gospel choir, because it does have a bit of soul gospel element to this song, although it's a rock song, but it does have some soul element to it. And with Tim singing, it just seemed right to have a choir. And again, Derek jumped in and said, "Well, I know a guy called Mitch Shakur, who was the musical director for Joe Cocker's band, and he's great at doing vocal arrangements." So we sent it to Mitch, and again, he jumped in and said, "This is great. I'd love to work on this." And the earnesty with all the input of all the musicians was just too good to be true, because, Tony and I, we're musicians here on the islands, but at a very moderate level compared to Derek and Andy and Mitch and Will. We're not in their league. So we were overjoyed with the support that these guys just jumped in and said, "We'd love to work on this." And so we got the choir done, and then we reached out to Matt Tate in England to do the engineering. He'd worked with, again, friends of Tony's, Judy Zook and U2 and Michael Jackson. And Matt jumped on board and did a great job of mixing. And we ended up with a fabulous end product from the kernels of my kitchen.
Started in the kitchen. Well, when you're baking a pie, you gotta put some good ingredients. And one of the things that Derek Dyer said about this was, at the end of the day, this is about what the song is, and the song totally is. I mean, we keep hearing it every day about what this has done to our industry. Who can't perform anymore, whether it's the pub singer or the Rolling Stones. And Harvey Goldsmith, I should say. Get the name right, Tony.
Right, an important one, that one.
Very important.
Not that guy. Goldsmith was doing a podcast with Bob Lefsetz the other day, talking about just how catastrophic this has been to the industry, and no live gigs and so on and so forth. So here we are a year later, no end in sight yet. A lot of talk about vaccines and this and that and the other. How long is it going to take for it all to take place, whereby we can travel safely again, and whereby we can all go to a concert again? I mean, the thing about the song was, when I was writing the words, it struck me that I can't go see a band, and I use Bruce Springsteen in that instance. Can't see Bruce or the E Street Band. And I want to be in the stands chanting, "You'll never walk alone," because what I was thinking was, Liverpool stands are empty, Man United stands are empty, Giant Stadium stands are empty. Everywhere is empty. And this whole thing of performers, which, whether you're a sports star or whether you're a guitar player or whatever you are, we're performing for audiences. And this disconnection has been huge, and it's cost so many their livelihoods, whether you're a stagehand or a tech or whatever you are, lighting, sound, trucking. A lot of people are scrambling, are on the breadline. A lot of people are going back to having to go and work just get some sort of a job to put bread on the table.
Yeah, and I think, the single itself has got almost echoes of Band Aid, isn't it? Desperate times, and song written in sort of just over 24 hours, and then everybody wants to come together to be a part of it, which is a great story. But going back to the point about the musicians and the effect it's had on the industry, I think as well, something that's not really been factored in is the fact that a lot of these venues might never come back. So it's going to be a ever decreasing circles of less places to play and therefore less musicians out there.
That is a worry. In little islands like where Jimmy and I live, where 20 or 30 years ago, bands could work every night. Bands were out everywhere. And then with the advent of DJs and the cost of doing live entertainment, a lot of live venues went by the way, and that was 20 years ago. So you just imagine, you extrapolate that now into COVID, and how many venues are going to be gone, how many clubs will go, or how many concert halls will go. I mean, let's just hope that if we do come back in the next 6 months to hopefully no longer than a year from here, that the pent-up demand will be so huge that we'll come back roaring like a lion.
It might have the opposite effect. Yeah.
So we never know. I mean, we've got to hope that that's the case. But I hear you, Mike. There's going to be lots of places that hit the wall.
Well, there's lots of late summer festivals scheduled for the UK, and sales are through the roof. I mean, they would be normally, but these are on the day of sale. They're getting sold out. So that pent up desire is definitely there.
Yeah, that's right. And the other thing that Harvey said in his interview is that for the gigs that he had booked, that no one asked for their money back. They were going like, hold on, when it comes back, we're good. So, just hope that things do come back with a bang.
Yeah, and I know that yourself, Tony, you started your first job in a record shop owned by your father, and going back, Jimmy's probably from similar background, and it's the kind of the older things that we've lost as well. So the thought of picking up a 12-inch vinyl and reading the cover notes and all that, this, that, and the other. Are there any plans to get this song out on vinyl, or is it just going to be the streaming platforms?
Well, I tell you what, that it's been suggested to us, actually. A good friend of ours in New York said, you should really stick this on vinyl. Look, it's early days. We decided, because this is an independent project, it's a one-song situation at this point. Whether Perfect Strangers do more stuff, which hopefully we will, but this is about the song and about the times and about capturing the moment. I mean, Jimmy remembers the response that we got when I sent the song to Michael Douglas, who has lived in Bermuda for a number of years. We've known each other for a long time because his mother was from Bermuda. And I sent it to Michael, and Michael came back. He was the one that coined the phrase "hope," a song for the times. He came back to me, a song for the times, and that's what I've used as a tagline in the PR. And he did a wonderful Instagram thing with throwing a snowball and saying, boy, do we sure need a lot of that right now. And it was great. Julian Lennon piled in, and John Miles, and Steve Hackett, Judy Zook, and a number of other artists. Heather Nova who lives in Bermuda. A lot of people have supported what the song is, and
Russ Abbott.
Russ Abbott, the comedian.
We can't forget Russ.
Yeah, Russ lives part-time in Barbados, and John Lodge also piled in. Look, we have a great song. I hope it connects with everybody. And we thank you for having us on. We've done really well with YouTube numbers so far. It would be great if, I've sort of thought, well, is this the kind of song that could be a UN song, or is this the kind of song that people talk about hope? It doesn't matter whether you're Barack Obama or whether you're Bill Gates or whatever. This is the kind of song that is a song for the moment, and without trying to sound too presumptuous, but with the fact of the way it is, it's sort of something that is anthemic, could be sort of We Are the Worldish in a way, or do we really know it's Christmas time at all? That kind of thing where everybody understands and gets what this is. And so I would love to think that this is a song that really touches the hearts of people globally.
Yeah, and hope is about all that we've got and we've had for the last few months, isn't it? Because, I mean, we were planning to visit Barbados, actually, just before.
All right.
We were due to fly in February, then we shifted it to March, and then we shifted it to May, and now it's probably going to be February again.
So listen, when you go, Mike, you'll have to look up Jimmy, because he plays with his mate. He plays with his mate Derek. They're called Two Guitars. Do a hell of a bang up job entertaining in Barbados. So look out for them when you go. Great.
Oh, we'll definitely do that. But I think they've announced over here that there's a supposed leak that says it's going to be at least July before we're allowed any international travel, which is we've got hope, but that's about all.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, the thing about it is, Mike, it's like in Bermuda, we've just come out with this huge spike of COVID cases, and to the point where we're going into curfew again, severe restrictions on the amount of people that can gather and stuff like this. So this is I don't mean anything by this, but thanks to England, we've got the English variant here now. Thanks so much, England. We love you. And we've got the English variant in Bermuda. And of course, the thing is that where does it end? The vaccine companies are all trying to catch up with mutations and this and that and the other. And it's somewhere along the line, the balance between vaccines and when you can safely open up your societies to be able to, because otherwise, if it keeps going on much longer like this, there's going to be some serious hurt in the world and serious livelihood damage.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jimmy, what's it like in Barbados for lockdown at the moment?
Well, me personally, I've been out of work for a year now because my industry is the hotel industry. That's where all my gigs are, and there's no one here to play to. So although we have a few visitors, I mean, it's minuscule compared to the average. And so it's been tough. I'm still alive. And I was just speaking to one of my hotel people, and he did say June. And when you said July, I figured it's going to be June, July, if we're lucky.
Yeah.
If we're lucky. So it's been hard on everyone here. A lot of small businesses in trouble. A lot of people suffering and people living from day to day. And fortunately, the government has helped out a lot of the poorer people who are really desperate. So our government here has done a great job in handling the situation. We did have a very bad period in December where it just kind of went wild because everybody thought we had it covered. So they let loose and it got crazy. But we're starting to clamp down again, and it seems to be getting a little better day by day. And the vaccine is here, so that's been rolled out. I haven't had mine yet, not for lack of trying, but it's not as easy to get as you would think. It's quite a long line and a long wait every day.
Yeah.
So, my turn will come, I'm sure. I think we all have to do it. It's an important thing. And I just hope that we will, survive this unbelievable period of everyone's life that no one I ever think suspected that they would be dealing with.
No, indeed, and we do have hope, and you've given us hope as well, quite literally.
Yeah.
So
we gotta have hope, man. Yeah. Something to see us through.
So before we go, just tell our listeners where they can listen to Hope, buy a copy, download a copy, whatever it is these days.
Well, it's definitely on YouTube. You'd have to just type in Hope Perfect Strangers, and it will come up. And then we're on every conceivable download platform that you have, from Spotify to Apple to Deezer they're all there.
Yeah.
So anyone who has those platforms, they can go on those platforms and find Hope.
You can either stream it or you can download it. I mean, it's on 38 different streaming platforms or downloads or whatever. And so we thank you for having us on and supporting Hope. And it's great to meet you, Mike.
It's certainly great to meet you too. And, it's one of those that let's hope it does turn into an anthem, and let's hope that it inspires Perfect Strangers to put out some more songs in 2021. It's been great having you on. Thank you so much for joining the show, both of you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
And we'll see you
All
in
the best.
Barbados.
You will see me in Barbados.
No. Hang on. No. You've got to come to Bermuda.
I have been to Barbados once before. I've never been to Bermuda, so maybe you're right there. But it's my thanks to Jimmy Duncan and Tony Brannon, and we're now going to play out with Hope, and this is Perfect Strangers.
Something to see me through. I gotta have faith. to believe in me and you. I gotta shake this feeling. Lord, I'm at the end of my road. I gotta have love. I've got to have faith. And I've got to have hope. Oh, you know I got to have hope. I got to have hope.
You've been listening to the Arts Show podcast with Mike Madden. Come back soon for more artists, authors, musicians and anyone else connected with the arts. We're going to play out with Mike Sanchez and I Don't Stand a Chance.
Baby, you hiding something that you don't want me to know, because I'm getting a vibe from way down the side, like you're just about ready to go. If you can't tell me where you stayed last night, you just can't cope with treating me right. I'm on the road to heartbreak. Now's the time to tell me so, because I'm getting a chill like I'm gonna be ill. I know you don't want me no more. I won't be satisfied with your little white lies. Girl, I've only just begun to realize I don't stand a chance. I don't stand a chance. You don't wanna know and I can't make you dance. Well, I've said goodbye. Find yourself another guy. I wish you were mine, but I'm losing my mind. I don't stand a chance. This man on the road to heartbreak. Now's the time to tell me so, because I'm getting a chill like I'm gonna be ill. I know you don't want me no more. I won't be satisfied with your little white lies. Girl, I've only just begun to realize I don't stand a chance. No, I don't stand a chance. You don't wanna know and I can't make you dance. Well, I'll say goodbye. Find yourself another guy. I wish you were mine, but I'm losing my mind. I don't stand a chance.